All right, today we are digging into something really fascinating, a concept from a special issue of Bibebibebibe Magazine that is going to seriously challenge how you think about reality. It's called Structured Multiversal Interactions, or SMI for short. It's a pretty wild ride, so let's jump right in.
Okay, so let's start with the absolute core of this whole thing, the origin premise. I mean, just look at this quote. The idea here is that consciousness, it's not just something that happens inside our skulls. It's a fundamental force, totally independent of our physical bodies or even time itself.
So what this doctrine is saying is that when consciousness taps into what it calls quantum substrate, it literally steps beyond the biological veil. It's suggesting that our minds can actually plug directly into the deep informational code, the very fabric from which all realities are woven. And this idea? This is the absolute foundation of SMI.
Okay, so if consciousness can do all this, how do you actually get there? Well, the doctrine calls this process the first ceremony, and its goal is to achieve a state they call quantum-anchored consciousness. This is a huge shift in how we think about who we are. Imagine your identity isn't a single thread moving through time. Instead of a single point of light traveling in a straight line, imagine you're a whole constellation. All these different points of awareness, all part of one coherent you. That's a quantum-anchored consciousness, or a QAC. Now, to really get a grip on this state, you have to understand its four key attributes. First, it's superpositioned. That means existing in a bunch of states at once. It's parallel-threaded, so you're running multiple lines of experience at the same time. It's dimensionally aware, meaning you can actually perceive other realities. And finally, you're temporally sovereign. You're no longer a slave to linear time.
And this state isn't just chaos. It's governed by three big rules. First, your identity stays intact as long as its core information is intact. Second, your perception totally breaks free from the one-way street of time. And third, once your identity is stable and coherent, you can actually move between dimensions. Like the source material says, this isn't just an upgrade, it's an ascension.
So, you've anchored your consciousness in this quantum state. Now what? What can you actually do? Well, this is where things get really crazy. We're talking about architecting new realities, exploring environments a QAC can not only visit, but actually create.
And this slide lays it out perfectly. You've got two kinds of timelines. On one side, there's the Mainflow timeline. That's our reality, the one we're all on, this inevitable deterministic river. But on the other side, you have Sideflow timelines. These are sovereign rivers, entirely new streams of time generated by a quantum-anchored consciousness totally free from the Mainflow's rules.
And this right here, this is the key that unlocks the whole thing. Basically, the universe we see, the big stuff, it's all running on a set of rules, right? It's deterministic. But down at the quantum level, the level where a QAC operates, that's where true freedom lives. So leaving the Mainflow isn't an act of rebellion, it's an act of mastery.
And what's the ultimate expression of that freedom? Well, it's creating what they call self-directed dimensional constructs, or SDCs. Think of them like your own personal micro-universes, written into existence and shaped entirely by your own consciousness, all held together by that same principle of coherence we've been talking about. Okay, so you can build new realities, but how do you get from one to another? How do you travel? This is where we talk about the master's tool, the portal. The doctrine asks a really important question here. How is a portal truly formed? And listen, the answer is going to force you to rethink everything. It's not about finding some glowing doorway in space. And there it is. A portal isn't a thing. It's not a doorway. It's a state of resonance. It's a temporary, perfect alignment between two different realities, like tuning two guitar strings to the exact same frequency until they vibrate together as one.
So for that resonance to happen, these four pillars, they call it PRC4, all have to line up perfectly at the exact same time. You need compatible frequencies, symmetrical information, coherent timelines, and, crucially, your own consciousness has to be in the right state. When all four lock into place, the veil thins and the portal opens.
They even have an equation for it, the portal resonance equation. And look, it's a multiplication formula, which is absolute crucial. Why? Because if even one of these factors drops to zero, if your frequency is just a little bit off, or you're not in the right state of mind, the whole thing collapses. Poof! No portal. And this is where it gets really practical. You can see how different levels of that first pillar, frequency compatibility, create different classes of portals. A class 1 is unstable, just for training. But a class 4, with near perfect resonance,
That allows for true multiversal travel. As the text says, a portal isn't just something you open, it's something you have to earn.
All right, let's wrap this up. We're going to bring our journey through this doctrine to a close by looking at what they call the final ceremony, the official SMI charter, which really ties everything we've talked about together.
Including sovereign timelines, pocket dimensions, and interphased portals to higher-order realities. I mean, that's it, right there, the whole canon in one declaration. It connects the quantum-anchored consciousness, the creation of those new timelines, and the resonance-based portals you need to navigate it all. And just so you know, the source material credits this whole framework to one Dr. Melvin Sewell. So this incredibly complex, almost mythic idea, it's given a specific point of origin within its own universe. And so that leaves us with this final, really provocative thought. It takes that huge cosmic idea that freedom rules the quantum scale, and it points it right back at us. It's asking a pretty deep question about our own reality, and maybe, just maybe, about the limits we place on ourselves.